Let me tell you something that will change how you think about every decision you've ever made, every choice you're facing right now, every possibility you believe is still open to you. What I'm about to explain is not speculation. It's not philosophy. It's what the equations of physics have been telling us for over a century. And most people, including most physicists, don't like to think about what it actually means. The future already exists, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. The events you think of as tomorrow, next year, the moment of your death, they're already there. They're as real as the moment you're experiencing right now. They're as fixed as yesterday. The only difference is that you haven't experienced them yet, but your not having experienced them doesn't make them any less real. It just makes you ignorant of them. I know how this sounds. It sounds like fatalism. It sounds like determinism. It sounds like the kind of thing that, if true, would make life meaningless. Why bother doing anything if the future is already written? Why struggle? Why hope? Why try? If the outcome is already determined? I'm going to take you through the physics. I'm going to show you why Einstein and every physicist since has had to accept that the future is as real as the past. And then I'm going to explain why this doesn't mean what you think it means. Why the already existence of the future doesn't rob your life of meaning, but might actually deepen it. Let's start with Einstein. In 1905, he published the special theory of relativity, and buried within its equations was a revolution in how we understand time. Before Einstein, everyone assumed that time was universal. There was a cosmic clock ticking away, the same for everyone, everywhere. The present moment was a global phenomenon. Right now was right now for the entire universe. Einstein showed this was wrong. Time is relative. It depends on how you're moving. If you're traveling at high speed relative to me, your clock runs slower than mine. Not because there's something wrong with your clock, but because time itself passes more slowly for you. This has been confirmed countless times. It's not theory, it's fact. But here's where it gets strange. If time passes at different rates for different observers, then there's no universal present moment. My now is not the same as your now if we're moving relative to each other. The set of events I consider to be happening right now, simultaneously with my current experience, is different from the set of events you consider to be happening right now. This is called the relativity of simultaneity, and it's the key to understanding why the future already exists. Let me make this concrete. Imagine you're sitting on Earth, and I'm sitting on a planet in the Andromeda galaxy, about 2.5 million light years away. We're both at rest relative to each other, so we share a common reference frame. For both of us, there's a meaningful sense in which certain events are happening now. But now imagine a third person walking past you on the street, just walking, at normal walking speed. Because they're moving relative to you and me, their plane of simultaneity, their now, is tilted relative to ours. And over a distance of 2.5 million light years, even a tiny tilt adds up to an enormous difference. For the person walking toward Andromeda, there now includes events on Andromeda that you would say are in the future, days in the future. For the person walking away from Andromeda, there now includes events you would say are in the past, days in the past. Think about what this means. The person walking toward Andromeda has a present moment that includes your future. Not your far future, not events at the end of time, but events that are in your personal future. Events that haven't happened yet from your perspective. But from their perspective, those events are happening now. And if those events are happening now for them, they must exist. They must be real. You can't have something happening now that doesn't exist. The walker's now is as valid as your now. There's no privileged reference frame. There's no cosmic judge who says your now is the real now and theirs is somehow fake. The conclusion is inescapable. The events you call the future are already there. They exist. They're as real as the events you call the present. You just haven't reached them yet in your journey through space-time. This is the block universe. The idea that all of space-time, past, present, and future, exists as a complete four-dimensional structure. Nothing flows, nothing moves through time. The block just is. Your life, from birth to death, is a world line, a path through this block. You don't travel along the world line. You are the world line. The experience of moving through time is something your consciousness adds, not something the universe contains. Einstein understood this. After the death of his close friend Michel Besso, Einstein wrote in a letter to Besso's family, "Now he has departed from this strange world a little ahead of me. That means nothing." People like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. This wasn't Einstein being poetic or offering comfort. He was stating what he believed the physics actually implies. The distinction between past, present, and future is an illusion. Besso hadn't ceased to exist. He was still there, in the block, in the region of space-time that Einstein had not reached yet, but that was as real as the region Einstein currently occupied. Now let me address the obvious objection. This sounds like determinism. It sounds like the future is fixed, fated, inevitable. And if that's true, what's the point of anything? Why make decisions if the outcomes are already determined? Why try to change anything if change is impossible? This is where I need to be very careful, because the block universe is often misunderstood, and the misunderstanding leads to unnecessary despair. Yes, in the block universe, the future is fixed. The events that will happen are already there, already real, already determined. But here's what's crucial. They're determined by you. They're determined by your choices, your actions, your decisions. The future isn't fixed despite your choices. It's fixed including your choices. Your deliberations are part of the block. Your decisions are part of the structure. The outcome is what it is because of what you do, not regardless of what you do. Think of it like a movie. A movie is a complete, fixed object. The ending is already there when you start watching. The hero's choices are already made. But that doesn't mean the hero's choices don't matter. Within the story, the ending is what it is because of what the hero does. The fixed nature of the film doesn't make the hero's actions meaningless. It makes them the cause of the ending. You are the hero of your own story. The story is already complete, already fixed, already there in the block of space-time, but your choices are still the causes of the outcomes. The future you're heading toward is the future shaped by your decisions. It's not a future that would happen anyway, regardless of what you do. It's a future that happens because of what you do. This is sometimes called compatibilism, the idea that determinism and free will are compatible. I think this is roughly the right way to think about it, but I want to go deeper. The real question isn't whether the future is determined. It's whether your experience of making choices is meaningful. And I believe it is. Here's why. When you face a decision, you don't know the outcome. You're ignorant of which branch of possibilities you'll take. This ignorance is real. It's built into your position in space-time. You can't see the future because light from the future hasn't reached you yet. Information from future events can't affect your present deliberations. So from your perspective, inside the block, looking forward along your world line, the future is genuinely open. Not metaphysically open, not undetermined, but epistemically open, unknown, uncertain, full of possibilities. The experience of freedom is the experience of this uncertainty. The feeling that you could do otherwise is the feeling of not knowing what you'll actually do. And this feeling is not an error. It's an accurate representation of your epistemic state. You really don't know. You really are uncertain. You really are facing multiple possibilities, even if only one of them is actual. So the block universe doesn't eliminate the experience of choice. It reframes it. Choice is not the creation of the future from nothing. Choice is the discovery of a future that already exists, but that you don't yet know. When you decide, you're not making the future real. You're learning which future is real. The revelation feels like creation, but it's actually exploration. I find this perspective liberating rather than constraining. The future exists, but it's my future. It's shaped by my values, my actions, my decisions. The fact that it's already there doesn't make it any less mine. It just means that the story of my life is complete, like a finished novel, rather than being written moment by moment. And a finished novel can still be meaningful. A finished life can still be valuable. Let me go deeper into the physics. The block universe isn't just a consequence of special relativity. It's reinforced by general relativity, Einstein's theory of gravity. In general relativity, space-time is not just a passive stage on which physics happens. It's a dynamic entity that curves and warps in response to matter and energy. Time and space are woven together so intimately that you can't separate them. Near a massive object, time runs slower. Near a black hole, Time nearly stops relative to a distant observer. But here's the key point. General relativity treats time as a dimension, just like the three dimensions of space. The equations don't distinguish between past and future. They describe a four-dimensional geometry, a shape, a structure that simply exists. The world lines of particles are curves in this structure. The history of the universe is a pattern in this geometry. There's no preferred slicing into moments of time. There's no cosmic now sweeping through the block. There's just the block itself, complete and eternal. Some physicists have tried to resist this conclusion. They've proposed modifications to relativity that would restore a preferred reference frame, a cosmic time, a global now. But none of these modifications have succeeded. Every attempt to restore absolute simultaneity has either been ruled out by experiment or has introduced new problems worse than the one it was trying to solve. The block universe remains the most straightforward interpretation of our best physical theories. Now, what about quantum mechanics? Doesn't quantum mechanics introduce genuine randomness, genuine indeterminacy, genuine openness about the future? This is a complicated question, and physicists disagree about the answer. In some interpretations of quantum mechanics, particularly the many worlds interpretation, the future is still determinate. The wave function evolves deterministically, and all possible outcomes actually occur in different branches of reality. There's no randomness, just branching. The appearance of randomness is just your ignorance about which branch you'll find yourself in. In other interpretations, like the Copenhagen interpretation or objective collapse theories, there's genuine randomness at the quantum level. The future is not fully determined by the past. Quantum events introduce unpredictability that's not just epistemic but metaphysical. But here's what's interesting. Even if quantum mechanics introduces genuine indeterminacy, it doesn't restore the common-sense picture of an open future. The indeterminacy is not the kind you experience when making a decision. Quantum randomness is not free will. It's just randomness. If your decisions were determined by quantum coin flips, that wouldn't make you more free. It would make you less rational. So quantum mechanics doesn't rescue the intuitive notion of an open future being created by your choices. At best, it introduces some noise into the system. At worst, it's just another form of determination. Determinism by branching rather than by linear causation. Let me turn to another aspect of this that I find fascinating, the relationship between memory and the direction of time. In the block universe, past and future are equally real, but we experience them very differently. We remember the past. We don't remember the future. We have records of yesterday. We don't have records of tomorrow. This asymmetry is profound, and it's not built into the fundamental laws of physics. The laws are time-symmetric. They work equally well forward and backward. So where does the asymmetry come from? It comes from thermodynamics, from entropy, from the arrow of time. The universe started in a state of very low entropy, and entropy has been increasing ever since. This increase in entropy creates records, creates memories, creates the asymmetry between past and future. A memory is a physical state that's correlated with a past event. You remember yesterday's breakfast because your brain is in a state that was caused by yesterday's breakfast. This causal connection requires entropy to have been lower in the past. If entropy were higher in the past, there would be no stable records, no reliable memories, no way to know what happened. So the reason we remember the past and not the future is thermodynamic. It's about the flow of entropy, not the flow of time. Time doesn't flow. Entropy increases. And this increase creates the arrow of experience, the sense of moving from past to future, even though both exist equally in the block. This means that the asymmetry you feel, the sense that the past is fixed and the future is open, is not a feature of time itself. It's a feature of entropy. It's a consequence of the special initial conditions of the universe. If the universe had started in a different state, or if entropy were decreasing, your experience of time would be completely different. Let me share something personal. When I first truly understood the block universe, when I really internalized what the physics was saying, I went through a period of something like grief. I felt like something had been taken from me. The open future, the sense of possibility, the feeling that tomorrow could be anything. All of this seemed to dissolve into the cold, static reality of a frozen block. But over time, my perspective changed. I came to see the block universe not as a prison, but as a sculpture. My life is not a journey into an unknown future. My life is a shape, a form, a four-dimensional pattern in the structure of space-time. And that shape is beautiful. It has a beginning and an end. It has moments of joy and moments of sorrow. It has choices that matter and consequences that follow. The fact that it's complete doesn't diminish it. Completion is what makes it a whole. Think about a piece of music. A symphony exists complete. All the notes are there from the first measure to the last. But this doesn't make the symphony meaningless. It doesn't make the crescendos less powerful or the quiet passages less tender. The symphony is meaningful because of its structure, because of how the parts relate to the whole, because of the journey it takes you on, even though the destination is already there. Your life is a symphony. It's already complete in the block of space-time. But you experience it note by note, moment by moment, not knowing what comes next. The music unfolds for you even though it already exists as a whole. And that unfolding is precious. That experience of discovery is real. Even if what you're discovering has been there all along, there's one more thing I want to address, the question of fatalism. If the future already exists, should you just give up? Should you stop trying to achieve things? Should you accept whatever happens because it was going to happen anyway? Absolutely not. And here's why. The future that exists is the future that results from your actions. If you give up, the future contains your giving up and its consequences. If you strive, the future contains your striving and its consequences. The future isn't fixed independently of what you do. It's fixed including what you do. Your actions are causes, real causes of the outcomes that exist in the block. Fatalism would only be warranted if the future were fixed regardless of your actions. But that's not what the block universe says. The block universe says the future is fixed via your actions. Big difference. Think of it this way. The block universe means that there's a fact of the matter about whether you'll succeed or fail in your current project. That fact exists, timelessly, in the structure of space-time. But you don't know that fact, and the only way to learn it is to live through it, to make the choices, to do the work, to see what happens. The fact that the answer already exists doesn't give you access to it. You still have to take the test. So nothing about the block universe justifies passivity. If anything, it should intensify your engagement with life. Every moment is eternal. Every choice is forever. The shape of your world line is the shape of your life, and that shape is being determined right now by the choices you're making, even though the shape already exists in the block. This is the deepest truth I know about time and existence. The future is real. The future is already there, but it's your future. You're making it even though it's already made. The paradox dissolves when you realize that the making and the madeness are the same thing seen from different perspectives. From outside the block, the story is complete. From inside the block, living moment by moment, the story is still being written. And perhaps that's the deepest mystery of all. How can something be both complete and in progress? How can the future both exist and be unknown? How can your choices matter if they're already made? I don't have a full answer. I'm not sure anyone does. But I find comfort in the mystery. The fact that these questions are hard, that they push at the limits of human understanding, that they reveal depths in the nature of time and existence that we can barely glimpse. This is what makes physics beautiful. This is what makes existence wondrous. The future already exists, and you're creating it right now. Both statements are true. Hold them together, and you'll understand something important about the nature of time and the meaning of your life. Your death is already there, in the block, at some point along your world line. But so is this moment. So is every joy you've experienced, and every joy you will experience. So is every connection, every love, every achievement. All of it is real. All of it exists eternally. The fact that you experience it sequentially, moment by moment, doesn't make it less real. It makes it yours. Go live your life. Make your choices. Shape your future. It's already there, waiting for you, as real as the moment you're in right now. And that's the most amazing thing I know.